I'm trying again because my live stream suddenly had ended. Well, not suddenly, but I got a notification that the connection was bad. So I'm starting over again. I had started a live stream because I wanted to have a discussion about the blank slate monument. The blank slate monument that I had posted the video about yesterday, which features the work of Kwame Akoto Bamfo, who is an artist that has been exploring the history of African Americans and of Africa through his sculptures. His artwork he's been doing for many, many years. He has been featured on the BBC, on CNN, on so many different media outlets for a lot of the work that he has done prior to this. Now, the blank slate monument has had a lot of conversation, a lot of controversy because of what it represents. There are a lot of people who have had feelings that they feel that it is the same narrative that is being told over and over again. There are some people who feel that that Africans shouldn't be telling the story of African Americans. So those are some of the comments that I had been receiving from people with regards to the video that I had posted yesterday. And in the video, it featured two people who are promoting the artwork for the artist on the artist's behalf. One of whom is somebody who collaborated with the person who wanted it commissioned. And the person who wanted it commissioned is in the US. And so this piece of artwork is going to be shipped to the United States. Actually, I think it's already been shipped to the United States. And when it was in Ghana and completed, I was one of the people who had the opportunity to view it in December 2019. So this piece of work was created over the period of a couple of years, I believe. And in December 2019, they did the unveiling that was for, especially invited guests. And we weren't allowed to talk. We weren't allowed to show pictures of it. We could talk about it, which I talked about it briefly in one of my videos. I described it, but I couldn't show any images of it. Now, this particular piece of work shows layers. So you see an enslaved African on the bottom, who is in a shackle with his hands tied behind his back. And on top of him, you see the military officer who is standing on him, a black military officer. And then on top of him is a woman who is carrying a baby on her back, and she's holding a placard. So it's called the Blank Slate Monument. She's carrying a placard with a blank slate on it. So the two gentlemen talked about the meanings behind the statue, and they did infuse some of their own personal feelings of what they see when they see the artwork. And that's the thing about art, is that the artist always has an intention as to what they want to show. But then you have individuals who have their own interpretation based on their own life experiences, based on things that they see in the work that resonates with them. And this is the case with art all the time. You can go to a museum, go to an art exhibit, and you see something, and the artist has something in mind as to what it's supposed to mean, their own feelings about it. They have their own interpretation of what the work is about. Now, if you haven't seen the video I'm talking about, I suggest you see the original video that I posted yesterday about the Blank Slate Monument. I'll put it here in the comments, Blank Slate Monument video, and then here's the link to watch it if you haven't seen it already, so that you can get your own opinion. You can also visit the website, which is blankslatemonument.com, get more information on what it's about. So according to the website, the statement on the website, that it's a tribute to African American history in the face of Confederacy. The term Confederate monument often conjures up images of white army generals on horseback leading the South into battle. The Blank Slate Monument is an awe-striking, allegorical deconstruction of that notion. challenging the onlooker to seek a deeper understanding of the African American experience before, during, and after the American Civil War from 1861 to 1865. Now, the artist makes a statement on the website. That's Kwame Akoto Bamfo, who makes a statement on the website, which is that blank slate is the slate that we write on, but we see through. We see through the palimpsest of millions of civil rights placards begging for a chance to breathe, the rights to breathe. I sculpt, yes, but the statement is not my own. The statement is for the people, the African American people, the Black people, and people who want to speak up against the tradition of injustice. This is why the slate is left blank. So that is what the artist's statement is on the website for Blank Slate Monument. You can visit the website if you want more information. He continues to say that there's problematic narratives that do not do justice for the African American experience of the Confederate Wars in America. The Blank Slate Monument aims to change that narrative. So I suggest going to the website to read more information, because he talks about all of the different areas: the pedestal, the memory jug, the slave ancestor, all of the things that you may be asking may be answered, well, will be answered on the website, because the website does go into more information. So some of you have made comments about this when I posted the video yesterday. There's been a lot of back and forth exchange with people who felt that the story wasn't being told right. There are some people who feel that Africans should not be telling the African American story. I had somebody accusing me of hijacking the history because I spoke on my personal experiences with racism in Canada. I think that as Black people, I think it's really sad whenever a Black person from somewhere tells their experience and their experience is negated, almost like as if it's a competition of whose experience is worse than whose. You know, I've experienced having police officers surround my vehicle with guns pointed at me. I've experienced, there's KKK who lived in the city that I grew up in Canada. I have experienced, name calling, which the person made it sound like it's like I didn't experience anything bad from name calling as a child, being called the N-word. To this day, I hate when Black people call each other the N-word. I know that it's been rationalized for whatever number of reasons. That's a whole different conversation. But, I've been in physical fights. I've had, there was a racist in my neighborhood who had a Doberman Pinscher and a German Shepherd, and he regularly would use those dogs to say attack anytime for Black people to chase and attack and sick them and all that stuff. And I swear I should have been doing the Olympic hurdles, the way that I would run and jump over fences to get away from those dogs attacking. But the reality is the Black experience has a lot of similarities. Yes, there is a unique Black experience for the African American community that is different from somebody who may be from, Brazil, or maybe from the UK or whatnot. But there is a similar thread that we share as Black people on this planet. So I think everybody's opinions are valid, as far as, when we're looking at this monument, everybody has their own experiences that they've dealt with that are part of how you decode this particular monument. And I fully understand not wanting to always see the same narrative of Black people. Because I know there was a period of time I was like, I don't want to watch any more movies about slavery because I'm tired of the slavery story all the time. I want to see some more positive stories about Black people and, we've overcome and so many things. We have the power to tell our own stories. That's the thing. And sometimes we have people who say, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, you should do this, you should do that. And those very people are not even making an effort to tell their stories. You know, these days we have the power to tell our stories through social media, through places like YouTube. People can be telling and sharing their stories, sharing their experiences. You look at people like Issa Rae, who, you know, with her series Awkward Black Girl that was on YouTube, has now, that was a catalyst to her career becoming what it is now. She was telling stories of what it's like being, you know, a Black woman, you know, daily life experiences that a lot of people related to. And that's what made the show become so successful. And, you know, and now she has her show Insecure, and, you know, her production company and all that. And then she recently invested in a natural hair company. So we can share our stories. And, you know, like our Nicole Amatefio, Ghanaian producer, produced her TV series telling the story of 5 African women who lived in America and then moved back to Africa, and what their experiences were like in the series An African City. You know, we all have stories to tell. We have so many stories to share, you know. And the movie Joseph, which premiered last year during the Year of Return, and then did a festival run and ended up playing in New York and played in, you know, throughout the Caribbean and in Ghana, Nigeria. That movie was about, you know, a Jamaican man who ends up coming to Ghana, exploring, you know, his roots. And it was a collaborative effort between Ghanaians, Jamaicans, people from Barbados, from the US, producing this film. And it was a showing of how we can come together and tell our stories. So I think it's very important that we tell our stories and we don't just talk about it, but we find ways to tell our stories. Thank you so much, R.C. Smith, for your contribution and your super chat today. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And so going back, it's like, we have to share our stories. I have so many stories in my mind. And the thing is, sometimes we have ideas and we think nobody wants to know or nobody cares about it. But once you start telling your story, suddenly people want to know, oh, what's this? What's that? So that movie I was just talking about, the Joseph film, which was done as a collaborative effort between Ghana, Barbados, and Jamaica, it is now available on Vimeo if anybody wanted to watch it. It's a really, I liked the story. I thought it was great. Let me see if I can find the link and put it in the comments for you. It was a really good film. And now it's on Vimeo on demand. I think it's about $2.99 to rent it online. And that's another way that content creators can share their content. If you make a film and you put it on somewhere like Vimeo on demand, because you see, I know a lot of us who are creators, you may want to put your things on Netflix, and Netflix has so much competition now. Now they're wising up to the fact that content from Black producers, Black creators is needed and wanted, because, you know, that's why you're seeing series now like, you know, like Girlfriends, you know, coming to Netflix. We're seeing more African films on Netflix. We're seeing Nigerian films really making it on Netflix. That shows that people want to see content from Black creators. So it's important that we share our stories from our perspectives. And we all have different perspectives. You know, a Black person from Jamaica, a Black person from Louisiana, someone from, you know, Kentucky, someone from Connecticut. Even though that person from Kentucky, Connecticut, and Louisiana are all in the United States, they will all have different stories to tell. And I would love to hear those stories. So I put the link here for Joseph if anybody wants to watch that movie. It's on Vimeo on demand. So going back to the Blank Slate Monument video that I had shared yesterday, it definitely is a conversation piece. And I know that there's people who will hate it and there's people who will love it. It is something that evokes emotion. And I think that there's a lot of controversy from some people because it was done by an African. The African artist, again, his name is Kwame. I'll put it in the comments here. So the Blank Slate Monument is from Kwame Akuto-Bamfo. My typing skills. Hello, excuse me. I'm sitting here at a Vita E Cafe and I'm going to place an order. Hi. I wanted to get a drink. The lemonade.
Lemonade mint or red lemonade or lemonade cola.
Well, there is one that you have on the menu now. Come and say hi. Do you want to come say hi to my people? Hi.
Hello.
Um, I
Lemonade
lemonade cola.
yes.
What's that?
Passion.
Okay, that's the one that was the lemonade with the passion. There's lemonade with espresso. There's lemonade with raspberry. Okay, which one? I just had the passion one. I just finished it. I think someone took the cup already. So let me try the. What's the other lemonade? Regular lemonade with mint. You said? How is that?
Frozen.
It's like a frozen blend. Like so, it's like a thick like a smoothie. All right, so I'm just gonna get the regular lemonade with raspberry.
With raspberry.
Yeah, because I don't want it to be thick.
Okay, so
Because you said the mint is thick, similar, but that's real mint and real lemonade. That other one, or is it a syrup?
the syrup. But the mint is the leaves.
Okay.
The leaves.
Okay. How much is that?
70.
Okay. You know what? Let me do that one.
The lemonade and mint.
Yes, I'll have lemonade and mint. Thank you. All right. So Akoto Bamfo. I'm gonna finish typing what I was typing. All right. Daniel Boom, thank you so much. I've loved going back and forth with you. So I'm glad you made a comment. So Daniel Boom says, tell your story, but don't exploit the legacy of slavery as it relates to African Americans. Your story as it relates to slavery is that of the Africans that facilitated the slave trade. We can tell our own. Thank you for your comment, Daniel. I appreciate it. I think that the reason why you'll find that Africans will tell a story that is from an African American experience is the reality is there's a lot of Africans who have lived in America. There's a lot of Africans who, even though they're African, they have had the African American experience because they've lived in America. Now, I'm not necessarily speaking of Kwame specifically. I'm speaking in general. As you know, there's a lot of African immigrants who come to the United States. And so if you're somebody who, like for me, I've mentioned that I have lived in the US, but most of my life was in Canada. I do have family members who lived, in the US their whole lives since they were like babies. So even though you're African, you still have the African American experience and you still understand the experience because you lived in that country. So there's a lot of Africans who have the capability of telling the African American story because they themselves have experienced it their entire life. And then there's some people who, even if it wasn't their entire life, it was part of their life. Because you're Black, when you're walking around and in America or in another country where there's racism, they're not looking at you and saying, oh, is that person from Nigeria? Oh, is that person from the Congo? Oh, is that person from Rwanda? Or is that person African American from here? That, let's say it's a police officer situation. They just see a Black person, period. So a lot of the time, people's stories come from having experienced the things that are happening now that are as, and the feeling may be different because that person does, understand. I mean, just because they know that their grandparents are from a certain country, the fact that they are in America, when they go back to their own country tells them they're not from there. You know how many times people in Ghana tell me I'm not a Ghanaian? I was born here, but we left this country when I was 22 months. I was 22 months when we left this country. So people here often say I'm not African. They often say they call me American because as far as they're concerned, Canada, the United States, and Mexico are on the continent of North America. So they still say American because it is North America. Even though we know that it's the United States of America that calls themselves Americans and that Canada, they call themselves Canadians. Mexicans will call themselves Mexicans. In Ghana, someone's like, well, it's on the continent of North America. So you're North American, so you're American. So it's interesting how perception is and how things are viewed in different places. So there's so many different layers to our experiences. The Black Cyber Network says human trafficking is the most evil thing in the universe. I agree. Soga Family TV, hello host. Hello, thank you for watching. Hey Now Yup 9700 says we are all in this together. Most African Americans will side-eye that statue. Other African diaspora will side-eye that statue as well. I do agree with you. Let's tell the story of Africans, Blacks loving each other, supporting each other. I agree with that as well. Jay Everything says real talk. Thank you. Daniel Boom, their story is not that of Jim Crow and the transatlantic slave trade. You're talking about two completely different American experiences. Daniel Boom, you're reading me at all. I'm just presenting to you another way of looking at it, because there's too much conflict between Africa. There's too much tension that has happened between Africans and African Americans, and it needs to stop. It really does need to stop. We need to start understanding each other better rather than always having conflict with each other. That's my opinion, that we need to better understand each other and the experiences that we have. So what I find interesting too is I feel like sometimes Africans get more flack than white people do when it comes to some things, when it comes to the African American community. I'm not saying this is a fact. I'm saying by some of the things I've heard some people say, some people. And I say this having worked in tourism, in the year of return and all that. I often would hear people say, and even one of the comments from yesterday when I posted the video, I can't remember what specifically it said, but it sort of alluded to this. But there's this suggestion that, oh, I remember what it was. Somebody made a comment about Wodemaya, that they saw a video that Wodemaya is an African YouTuber, for those of you who may not know. He does YouTube videos about Africa. He travels around the continent, and then most recently, because of being stuck in Ghana, he's been doing content in Ghana. And so somebody made a comment saying that they're just trying. He was mentoring people about African Americans or something, and it's just all about money, something like that. And so Daniel Boom is saying, let me go back to what Daniel Boom is saying now. He's saying an African American can't create art depicting the atrocities of the Biafra War or genocides in Sudan and pretend we can relate as we monetize it. Why don't you create something if there's something that you know about the genocides happening there? If you are aware of it and you've been to Sudan and you've had relationships with Sudanese people and you've had a perspective from spending time there, why can't you tell a story? There's nothing wrong with you telling a story. Well, what's wrong with that? You know, and then you're saying, and as we monetize it, everything in this world is monetized. You know, I'm so tired of and frustrated when people say that something is just about money. The whole world is about money. Everything we do is about money. The moment you turned on your laptop and you connected to, who did you connect to? Verizon? Did you connect to AT&T today? Did you connect to whoever your network provider is? Are they not making money from you being online? But you're not complaining about them, right? But have a Black African tell a story and they're just doing it for money because they want to tell a story, right? When all of the people who are running the media empires of the world, we know who they are running the media empires of the world, is it about monetizing it? Is YouTube is making, Google owns YouTube. Google is making money from people watching YouTube. Google is making money. ESPN is making money. When you watch NFL, when you watch the NBA, when you watch, you know, your football, soccer, AKA soccer, when you watch it, is there a complaint that they're making money? That's my question. But when it's sisters who are creating content and they happen to be making a living creating content, there's always a question of its validity. Why can't we all just get along? Why can't we do a job and tell stories and make a living telling our stories? Someone else is making a living telling their stories. but people don't complain about it when they are telling stories about us and making money. But when we tell stories about us, we get bashed for it. It's really interesting, you know. Everybody has their opinion. And Daniel Boom, I challenge you to start telling stories. Everybody has their own story to tell, and I want you to tell your story. Get online, create content, share it with the world, and share your views. Share what you think. Let people see what perspective it is you have, Daniel Boom, because everybody has their own perspective. And we don't always agree with each other, but we all have the space to tell our stories. And that's the beauty of being in the 21st century. I grew up in a time when there was only a few TV stations. I know people think I'm younger than I am, but I'm a lot older than people think. There was a time when all we could watch was NBC, ABC, CBS, and then in Canada, because in Canada we got American TV stations, so NBC, ABC, CBS, and then in Canada it was the CBC, Global News, and I believe it was CTV. Got those channels, and we had a turn dial TV. Turn the dial. Only a few channels, so you were completely controlled by the content that was available because all you had was those channels available, right? And it was a big deal if you went and got an antenna that got you more channels. Now we've got the internet with so many options. We've got streaming services, digital satellites of channels. We can tell our stories from all our different perspectives, and I don't think we should be knocked for telling our stories. You know, for so many years, African stories have been told by white people. Growing up in North America, seeing stories about all Africa is kids with flies in their eyes, someone on Vision saying, I need you to donate $20 a month so you can feed this child. Somebody saying that everybody's at war with each other on the entire continent. Someone saying everyone's dying of disease on the continent. Like every corner is full of death and strife and all kinds of stuff. That's the story they told about Africa all the time. And the story that Africans got about African Americans was often not positive either. Stories that you see in movies that always show them as criminals and thugs when that's not the truth. Black people aren't all criminals and thugs, but that's the story that was told for so long. You know, I know somebody who was an actress whose career didn't go far because she always refused when they always wanted to give her auditions for prostitute roles. And she's like, no, I'm not playing a prostitute. I'm not perpetuating the stereotype that all Black women are prostitutes. And she always refused, you know, and it could be a case of maybe her career would have blown up if she was willing to take those roles in the meantime until something else, but she wasn't willing to perpetuate a stereotype because those are the roles that were being offered. You know, there's so many things that have told stories about Black people from different perspectives and different ways. And I think that it's important that we all take responsibility in telling our stories from our perspectives. And if you don't agree with someone's perspective, that's perfectly fine. Create your story so we can see your perspective brought to light. I want to see that. I have, hey now, Yup 9700 says, there's no tension between AAs and Africans. This is a false narrative created by the West and carried forward by YouTubers. Experiences. I remember dating someone from the US whose mother told him that I was too dark and that he shouldn't date an African. And he would always be like, well, she's in Canada, blah, blah, blah. So this particular person, the mother wasn't a fan of him dating me for that reason. So that's from a personal experience, and then from some people who have said that they had some bad experiences as well. But yeah, overall, I do think that, you know, right now in the 21st century, things are far, far better than they were before. Because I did hear stories of people saying things like that they didn't feel it was fair that Africans would come and sometimes have been presented with better opportunities than African Americans who are already in the country. I've heard people say that. I'm not saying they all said it. I've heard people say that. Some of the things that I have heard are from people's personal experiences and not from media when I speak about that personally. But I love that Africa and Africans and Caribbeans, like Black people in general, come together. There's this coming together that's happening right now that wasn't as strong before. And it could just be that because we're telling our stories now that we're seeing more of the coming together of the people, which I think is great. Rich Doc says, hi. Oh, hi, Rich. That's a friend of mine in Buffalo. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Black Cyber Network says slavery is a term used to normalize human trafficking. Daniel Boone says, make your money, but if African Americans, we feel you're exploiting our history, don't be surprised. Daniel, I am definitely not exploiting your history. I just tell stories. I'm all about telling stories and presenting positivity about Black people and the coming together of Black people. He goes on to say, so why do you tell the same story about African Americans depicting us as slaves with a man's on your neck? I didn't create the statue, so I think it's a great idea if you visit the website, Daniel Boone. The website is blackslatemonument.com. I did not create the statue. I'll repeat that again. I did not create the statue. Contact the artist through the website and pose your questions directly, and perhaps the artist can give you an answer. Also, the website has a lot of detailed answers as to how it was created and what each level means. The video I had posted yesterday featured the two gentlemen who were part of the marketing and promotion of the statue, but they were not the artists, and they also infused some of their personal interpretations of the art. As we all know, art is often interpreted by the individual. You can go and look at a Picasso piece and one person sees one thing and someone else sees something else, but Picasso himself, what he had intended for the art may not be what either of those people saw. So I suggest going to the website and making contact with the artist, because it was not my piece. I simply presented a story. So I can't answer all the questions that you keep on posing to me directly, because I don't have the answers. Please visit the website, which is blankslatemonument.com. I'll put it in the comments. Please visit the website. There are details there that has information. So let me actually go to the website, because I don't think Daniel will go to the website. I don't think Daniel Boone will go to the website. So as I said, this is not my artwork. This is the artwork of the artist, Kwame Akutobamfo. The symbolism of the monument. The slave ancestor, his body is closest to the ground and both of his hands and feet are bound. His bound hands support the struggling Black Union martyr, and his face supports the feet of the soldier as well. He has no rights at all. Thus, his face is practically in the ground, yet he struggles to help those above him, whom he cannot even see with his eyes. Viewers may be moved by his facial expression and his face on the bare ground, be it concrete, grass, or dirt. He will be in the loincloth and bound in chains. The pedestal, to put someone or something on a pedestal, is to place them above. It's to behave as if one person is more important than the other. The artist characterizes the fact that African Americans are struggling to mount a base to be on the same level as the rest of American heroes, and that is about the soldier. There's much more on the website. I'm not going to read it all. I think it's important that you make an effort to go to the website, because I didn't make the art piece, as I said. I keep saying, Daniel. And I have Cowboy Yeye who says, Daniel Boone, the truth hurts. Please visit the website, as I said. And if you have any, comments, you can send it directly to the artist. Hey, now you have 9700 says the slaves were kidnapped victims. This was the act of trying to transfer a crime from the kidnappers to the ones targeted of the crime. Black Cyber Network, we don't have statues of somebody on their neck. Wait, the comments are scrolling up now. On their DJ says American whites will treat Africans better than African Americans, just like the Europeans will treat African Americans better in Europe than the European blacks. It's just a system to keep us fighting each other, as we can see, right? There is a lot of differences in treatment of Black people in different places, depending on where you're from. You bring up an interesting point there. I don't know about the one you said. American whites treat Africans better than African Americans, and Europeans treat African Americans better in Europe than European blacks. I would love for you to expand more on that, DJ. Yeah. And Sandy Kelly says the statue was created before George Floyd. That is correct. The statue was revealed in December 2019 is when I saw the statue. That's when it was revealed. And it actually was created over a couple of years before that. So thank you, my mint lemonade. So it's more like a mint lemonade slush. It's like a mint lemonade slush here. I was thinking it would be more like a, excuse me? Can you bring some tissues, please? Thank you. So I'm at Beta E Cafe, one of my favorite spots to come to in Ghana. It's actually a South African company that has expanded across Greater Accra. So a mint lemonade. They blend the mint with lemonade. So that's what I'm having. All right. Back to the comments. Adrena Monet says, I'll definitely have a look. And Worldview says, again, Africans playing a role in establishing a narrative for African Americans. The African Museum, where it's going, funded by non-African Americans, Gates, Clinton, Dangote, Adil Ibrahim. Thank you. Worldviews. Oh, hey now, yup, 9700 says they are also pushing this Black gender war narrative in the US. There are elements within the alliance that runs America to pit Black women against Black men. I really don't like that narrative of pitting Black women against Black men and vice versa. I do see elements of that happening in different ways. So I appreciate you bringing that up. We do have to support each other for sure. It is sad when the support of each other is lost, because we do need each other as Black people, Black women and Black men. Worldview says marketing, but not respectful enough to be versed in the statute itself. I appreciate your comment. Adrena Monet says, my family knows a Nigerian doctor who had the cops called on him while going to a bank in September 2019. His situation made national news and everything. Slushies, yes, slushies are good. Adrena, I'm currently in Adenta with relatives. You're in Adenta? Wow. Welcome to Ghana. I have relatives in Adenta too. I haven't gone there in a long time. Thanks for reminding me I should go visit. Is it a secret who commissioned the statue? Why didn't they reveal that information? I don't know who it was. And I didn't even ask the question when we were there that day. I'm sure we can always find out. I can see what I can find out. Adrena says there's a toxic narrative that is being pushed in the West altogether. Daniel Boom says that this statue was meant to be disrespectful and trigger a reaction from African Americans. I don't know if it was meant to do that. I know that the artist himself has said that he, over the years, art that has to do with African history as well as African American history and the connection of Africans to African Americans because of the history. And I know he said that he's constantly evolving and constantly learning. He said that he has done some art in the past where he has been challenged and he has learned some things from the African American community and the Caribbean community. Different communities have told him about different things that he did in the past that he said he's learned from. So I know he's evolving, and I don't think it's fair to not allow a person to learn and have their evolution. Anyway, let me go back to the comments. Jay Everything says, in your opinion, would it be wiser to come together and build a neighborhood for diaspora in Africa, or should we all blend in? I think that blending in, and coming together with people who are already here is important. But I also know that that doesn't always happen, because human nature is to be around people you're familiar with. And it's the very reason why you see that when immigrants leave their countries and come to America, they end up living in these communities with each other, right? You'll see like there's the Italian neighborhood, the Chinese neighborhood, the Jewish neighborhood, the Greek neighborhood, and you see that the people end up gravitating towards the familiar. And it happens on the continent too, where people from the diaspora come to different African countries and then create their own communities. And it's not intentional that they want to be separate. It just happens to be that you end up gravitating towards familiarity. So you're familiar with certain customs and certain ways of living. And so then you end up bonding with people who have similarities to you, and you end up forming communities. So that's something that happens that's not necessarily always intentional. However, there are places here that are being created specifically for the diaspora communities. And but within those creation of diaspora communities, they also said that it's open for other people from Africa to also be there as well. So for example, right now, the Diaspora African Forum is an organization that is headed by Honorable Erica Bennett. She is the ambassador for the Diaspora African Forum here in Accra. And it is an organization backed by the African Union. And they have started a place called the Diaspora Village, which is being built by Trisaco, which is a development company that does properties. And so that area has been demarcated, that people from the diaspora can come, buy property, buy house, and live. And it's in Accra. So that's an example of a diaspora community being created. However, they did say that you don't have to be from the diaspora to purchase property in that area. Anybody can come. But because it is under Diaspora African Forum, what's going to happen is you're going to see a lot of diasporans who end up moving there and buying property there. So, but it's important for you to create relationships and bond with people who are here if you're planning on living here, because you can't survive by only being connected to people from the diaspora. Hey Now Yup 97 says they monetize Black outrage in the West and use it to get support for non-Blacks. These clothing companies will do something explicitly racist to get a reaction and support from non-Blacks. And it's so true. When you see so many of these stores that will put out t-shirts or stuff that's like offensive, and it's like they act like, oh, they didn't know it was offensive. But then you see Black people still shopping at those stores. They'll still go back to those stores. They'll forget about what happened, a couple years ago and go right back to shopping. It happens all the time. So it's interesting. And that's part of why I went back to say that when it's Black Africans who are doing something and they happen to be making a living doing it, they're criticized and accused. It's like last year, I heard a lot of some people who were saying that they felt Ghana welcoming people from the diaspora to come, that it was all about money. And all about money and tourism. And the interesting thing is when, and I've said this before, like when Greece or Italy or Spain is promoting you to come on vacation, people aren't complaining and saying they just want our money. People just spend their money and go. But when it's an African country, suddenly they just want our money. And why is it so bad to spend your money on Black people? But it's okay to say, oh, I'm going to go to Italy and spend thousands of dollars on holiday. But to say I'm going to spend thousands on holiday in an African country, it's like they want our money. They just want our money. I just find it interesting. The mindset sometimes is interesting. And I think sometimes people have to, take a moment and think, what am I actually saying here? I think sometimes people need to think about that. Cryptomania says, reacting to Jay everything. I believe if you want to separate yourself, better stay put where you are. We should not go there to have this better than them mentality. DJ says, stop fighting and unite. What's the issue with Ghana throwing out Nigerians out of their country? What the hell? Black people in Africa are not united, but they are welcoming diaspora to come. The narrative being told about Ghana throwing Nigerians out is so it's so inaccurate. Basically, there are rules and regulations, laws for doing business in Ghana as a ECOWAS countries. So the so the West African states, so West African countries have agreements between them. Just like for example, Canada, US, and Mexico have the North American Free Trade Agreement. So there's an agreement between West African nations of doing business in each other's countries. And what happened was, from what I read, The reports I read were that there were a lot of businesses that were not following the laws when it came to doing business in Ghana. And so there were several businesses that were shut down, and it happens to be that most of them were Nigerian, but there were Ghanaians also included in that, but they don't tell you that in the narrative of the story. There were Ghanaians whose businesses were also closed down along with Nigerians. Just happened to be that there was lots of Nigerians. So then the story became Nigerians are being shut down, but there were Ghanaians who were also shut down too for not following the rules and the laws of doing business, the type of business that they were doing. So it's not about Ghana's throwing out Nigerians, you know? So that narrative is a narrative that has been misinformed to people. And the people who are Nigerian, who are in Ghana, who are part of the businesses being shut down, they know, I mean, people know that if you say it's because we're Nigerian, it's gonna spark more interest. So that's what I read. The report that I read is what I'm telling you, based on the report that I read. And it wasn't a report that was like in mainstream media. It was from one of the business organizations as to how business is done in Ghana. Excuse me. So yeah. Let me go back to the comments. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in today. I am, let me see. I'm trying to go back to the last comment I was at. Oh, that was the Nigerian Ghana thing. And you know, Ghanaians have been thrown out of Nigeria too in the past. Ghanaians have been thrown out of Nigeria too. There's a history between Ghana and Nigeria that is a whole other conversation that I won't get into right now. But when it comes to doing business, they are also each other's like friendliest nations with each other when it comes to doing business. Being that they're two of the most powerful when it comes to business in West Africa, they do a lot of business together between Ghana and Nigeria. When I come to Africa, it's not to help because you don't need help. I'm coming to live and make money anyway. What's your number? Come and live, come and make money. There's people making money. There's also people struggling. Ghana has poverty, poor, middle class, upper middle class, and then the wealthy people, just like every other country, it's here. So, yeah, depending on the kind of business you want to do, there's a potential to make a lot of money. If you choose to come here to do business, there's some people who come here and do exporting. You can export stuff, definitely. So, Soga Family TV says, why not monetize? My labor is good enough for my Black people too. Daniel Boom is back and says, alone had a purchasing power of 1.2 trillion in 2018. It's all about money. Why do you think Haiti is never included in these diaspora discussions? Haiti don't have money, so they get ignored. Why do you think Haiti is not included? This is good. If you come to Vida E, try this. Lemonade and mint. Oh, it's really good if you like mint. Anyway, I digress. I met some Haitians last year, actually, who came to Ghana during Year of Return. That's one of the things that I loved about last year during Year of Return when a lot of people came was it wasn't only African Americans who came to Ghana and we're talking about reconnecting and talking about building business with each other. And it wasn't even necessarily about people wanting to move here. It was also people who wanted to just collaborate, from where they are. I met so many people from Suriname, and that's one country that you don't hear a lot about in South America. But I had a lot of people from Suriname that I met who wanted to do stuff here in Ghana. They wanted to connect, and one lady wanted to export goods to sell in Europe. Another person talked about, education. And so there's so many Black people from different places who understand that unity is the best thing and that understanding each other is the next step too, because when we take the time to understand each other, instead of always being angry with each other and divisive with each other, that's when, step one to helping us to be more united as a people around the world. I once said that, imagine sitting in a conversation with someone, imagine every single Black person actually came together and actually wanted to unite. Imagine how powerful we would be as a people if we actually didn't have so much division between us, you know, took the time to understand each other and work together and collaborate together instead of always being suspicious of each other. There's so much suspicion of each other, and it's so bad. It's so bad, you know. I hope that changes over time. Let me go back to the comments. Let's see. Thank you for the opportunity to express our feelings and thoughts. You're most welcome. I think it's important for everyone to express their opinions. Cowboy Yeye says, good point, Ivy. Us Blacks have truly been brainwashed. Thanks for explaining that issue with the Ghana and Nigeria. Where am I? I'm currently in Ghana. I'm sitting in the East Legon neighborhood of Accra. I'm hoping that once, probably by the end of the year, maybe January, I wanted to do some traveling to other African countries. So far, I've only been in Ghana. I've traveled to Togo, Benin, and Kenya. I love Kenya. I would love to go back again, but I do need to make some exploring to other countries as well. Let's see. Black Cyber Network says corrupted industries from unequal trades due to investments from high interest rates. Yeah, you know, those high interest rate loans even that they give to these African countries and even other developing countries outside the continent is crazy. It's like they design them in a way that you'll never get out of them and you're stuck, you know? Yeah. So Theophilus says, please, I'm sorry, I want to know how the one going project is in Accra is going. One going, I don't know which project you're talking about. What's the one going project? Please explain, Theophilus. Oh, Marine Drive. I don't know what's going on with Marine Drive, to be honest. I just know that there's a plan, but I don't know what's happening. I haven't seen anybody from there for a long time, so I haven't heard much about progress on it. But when I know, I'll let you know. But right now, I don't know. Jay Everything says, I love my Suriname brothers. Many of them are in the Netherlands. Yeah, many of them are. Quite a few of them came from the Netherlands, and then some came directly from Suriname last year. So I love them. They were some wonderful people that I met. So there are some fantastic people. Daniel Boom says, if you want unity, I think it'd be best to leave slavery out of the equation. Slavery is a slippery slope. I think best to be left alone, especially by Africans. Daniel, I think that Africans need to better understand it. Because one of the problems is they don't even teach it in a lot of the schools. So a lot of people don't even understand it. Somebody could be living right across from a slave fort that was once harboring captured enslaved Africans, and they don't even know anything about it. They only know what the diaspora tell them when they come. And so it's really good. The education system needs to change so that they have a better understanding. Young people have a better understanding of, you know, what happened in the history. Because there's a lot of people who don't know. So if we say that they shouldn't, you know, it should be left alone, they're never gonna know, right? Why block? Because it helps people to understand why things are the way they are today. Because there's a lot of Africans who have a lot of learning to do too, a lot of learning to do as well. I had said that I was going to have somebody here, a historian on. He was stuck in the US for a while because of the pandemic. I think he might be back now, that I wanted to interview about, you know, some of the history of the transatlantic slave trade and how Africa, Ghana was connected. Because we do know that there are people who resisted. We do know that there are people who fought against being captured. We do know that there are people who fought, but we also know that there are some people who participated in it. And so having an understanding of both sides is really important when it comes to history. And I mean, that's what history is. It's when you know your past. A part of Ghana's thing about Sankofa is about knowing your past in order to move forward. So I think it's important for people to learn. It's important for people to learn, you know. Gabriel Selassie says, meet us in Ethiopia, January for Christmas. I really want to go to Ethiopia, to be honest. but I don't think I'll be able to come there this year. I'm really enjoying this drink. Like, I should have got a bigger size. Hey now, yup, nice. Feature more Ghanaian-owned Black business initiatives. It's good for all of us. I will do my best. I recently featured a Ghanaian business owner who owns the restaurant Scarbites. A lot of people here didn't know that that restaurant was owned by a Ghanaian couple, his husband and wife. So I did the interview. And then people I know were like, whoa, I didn't know it was owned by a Ghanaian. They always thought it was like, you know, somebody from like Europe or something who came and did it. So I'll do my best to do that. It's challenging these days sometimes getting business owners to talk because a lot of them don't want to talk. A lot of them only want to talk to Wodamaya when you so I mean he's doing great. Yeah, so I'll do my best. DC says Ghana doesn't teach their country's history. They teach some history, but there's a tendency to only teach history from independence onwards. Pre-independence isn't taught as much, and so it's really, really bad. Unless you choose it in university, you choose to learn about stuff before independence. So there's a lot of people who don't know a lot of history before independence, which was 1957. I'm trying to get some elders and stuff to talk on camera because I think that their stories are so important. But a lot of people, it's like people have a lot of reservations about talking on camera, especially about things. So I will continue doing my best. Black Cyber Network, physics was learned from tests, not teachers. Woodrow Llewellyn, sorry if I said that incorrectly, Woodrow Llewellyn, Daniel need to discuss slavery and colonization. If we don't learn about our history, we will make the same mistake again. George Appiah, when we're talking about business, then we should talk about safety also. Interesting. What do you mean by that? Tonya says, why is it so hard to donate to your channel? I don't know. Are you trying to do a super chat? Is that what you're trying to do? Or are you trying to donate through PayPal? Please let me know which one you're trying to do. So yeah, it's thank you so much everybody for your comments. Ivy, why did you choose to repatriate from Canada? Adriana Monet, there are definitely some elders who are open to teaching about Ghana's history, creed, and independence. It's just a matter of finding them. That's true. That's very true. Pharaoh Monk, I came, it was supposed to be a holiday some years ago, and then I ended up staying because I got work. I stayed, and it was a pretty good place to be. I was here for a couple of years. So I ended up getting a contract. I was working, I worked 2 different jobs. I worked at a high school, and I also was hosting a television show. And then I went back to Canada after a couple of years. And then while I was in Canada, I kept feeling like I needed to go back to Ghana. I needed to go back to Africa, that I could probably do more, or I could probably serve my purpose better. So I came back. I was working a day job that I didn't really enjoy, and then I just decided to come, so I came. Tonio P says PayPal donations internationally crash when sending from the US. What do you mean they crash internationally? My PayPal account was not created here. My PayPal account was created when I was living in Canada, so it's still attached to my Canada information. So I'm not sure what you mean by that. Do I even know my PayPal link? That's another question. Let's see if I can find the link for you. Sogo family says, I'm coming to Ghana from Canada. When are you coming? You coming in the winter? coming in the winter when it's cold, and to escape the cold and come to the superheat. December is actually one of the hottest times to be in Ghana. Like super hot, like super hot. Blazing hot in December. You'd be sweating every day. So it would be a good time to come if you want to be in like extreme heat. December. Come in December. But it's also the most expensive time to come in December because flights are expensive, and yeah, flights are expensive. Holiday season in general, Christmas time generally everywhere is more expensive. So you can maybe come in January. January is a little bit less expensive than December. Prices drop significantly if budget is a factor. Trisha said, I'm moving to Ghana. I'm building my house in it. Oh, okay, Soga family, you're moving to Ghana. All right, okay. Wishing you all the best with that. Robert Charles says, many of my family and friends have seen you YouTube channel and are amazed at what they're seeing. Wow, we have choices to leave the diaspora for Ghana. Thanks. You're welcome, Robert Charles. Soga family, I'm originally from Jamaica, so okay, you're used to the heat. I love Jamaica. Jamaica's a beautiful place. Reminded me a lot of Ghana, actually. And there's some Jamaican friends I have who've come to Ghana who said the same thing, that Ghana reminded them of Jamaica. So congrats to you, Soga Family TV, for making the move. You will be welcomed with open arms in Ghana. DJ says, what's the best time to come? It depends on what you want to do, DJ. So if you're all about a lot of socializing, a lot of nightlife, a lot of events, a lot of parties, all that kind of stuff, then I would say December. August, December, for that kind of more of that vibe. I mean, that vibe happens all year long, but it's like at its peak in December, and then August also has a lot of that going on too. December is very hot, but August is not as hot as December is. So if you can't take the heat, then August is good. Also, a lot of people like coming in March because it's Independence Day in Ghana is in March, and so there's often a lot of activities happening at that time. Also, Easter time, there's a lot of activities happen. If you're an adventurous person, Easter time, because they have a festival, which is the paragliding festival in Kwewu, which is in the eastern region of Ghana. So paragliding festival happens in the Easter season. So that's a good time to come if you're into adventure like that. And actually, the paragliding also happens in September for World Tourism Day, towards the end of September as well. So if you're into that, that's also good too. Yeah. So the family, yes, Jamaica's like Ghana. I'm moving with my family so that my sons can grow up there. Oh, that'll be great. I'm sure they're going to enjoy themselves. I have a friend who just moved her kids here, and yeah, your sons are gonna have a good time and make some friends really quickly. A lot of Ghanaians love Jamaicans. I think it has a lot to do with I don't know, Jamaican culture has some similar vibes, so they often get along quite well. So yeah. So I started this stream to talk about the monument that I posted yesterday in the video. Just to clarify some things based on what I saw on the website. So the Blank Slate Monument, if you want to see that video, feel free to watch it on my channel. I posted it yesterday. It's the videos cause a lot of conversation and controversial views. So you could check it out and see for yourself. It is called The Blank Slate Monument Explores Generations of the Black Struggle. That's the name of the video if you want to see it, to watch it, and go from there. So for the person who was asking about PayPal, here's the link. I don't know, I hope it works for you. Yeah. Someone said recommend a guest house. There's somebody I know that runs a guest house here in East Legon, actually.